Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of You're the Cure. I'm Dr. Ben Edwards. It's June 30th, 2025, launch day for the You're the Cure program. This program is a self-paced 9-module. I don't even know how many videos. I think 40 plus videos, 30 plus PDFs. And really, what it is, guys, is a culmination of 20 plus years of practicing medicine, half of that in the conventional realm, half of that in the integrative realm. And there's more to learn, but what I've learned in that 20 years has opened my eyes even more to the fact that we are designed. There's an incredible engineering going on. And if we just steward that design, it should function. Symptoms of any sort are simply a sign of disorder. Something's out of order if you have a symptom. So, treating symptoms is what people are used to doing. It's what doctors are trained to do. You can do that pharmaceutically, you can do that nutraceutically, and that's okay. I just read an article this morning, actually, amazing article. I'll just read you the title of it: How Bringing UV Light into the Blood Treats Everything from Infections to Heart Disease. The article was looking at ultraviolet blood irradiation. That's a medical term. That's a treatment that used to be done back in the 1940s, was kind of its heyday, had a 100% cure rate for sepsis, overwhelming infection in the body in hospitalized patients, just adding ultraviolet light to the body. So that's a example of an integrative symptom treatment. Now, a lot of the integrative modalities will get a little closer to root cause, but today's podcast isn't about this UV light. We'll do that in the future. Dr. Mark Hamblin, I think he's in South Africa now, but previously of MIT and Harvard, he's the most published PhD doctor on photobiomodulation, this technique of using light therapy to help overcome infections and other autoimmune and cancer and other things in the body. It's incredible. It's awesome. And there's so many other really cool, what I call gadgets. But guys, you shouldn't ever need that. Your body's designed to kill germs. Your body's designed to kill cancer. Your body's designed for the neurons in the brain to defend themselves against oxidative stress and never have to lay down beta amyloid plaque, leading to the dementia we call Alzheimer's. Your body should never be in the position to need these kind of heroic life-saving measures. And as we've talked about a lot of times on the podcast, the pharmaceutical version of treat a symptom, whether that be statins. Let me pause real quick, pull out Dr. Brownstein's book. This is so important, especially to my colleagues out there who are listening. I have lots of physicians call me these days, but listen to this. I'm going to talk a little shop real quick, get a little geeky. Guys, absolute risk reduction of using a statin drug to reduce the chances of heart attack and death from America's number one killer, heart disease, our number one tool that we have to fight the number one killer in America, the number one tool a United States conventionally trained medical doctor has in his toolbox to pull out and utilize for the American population to try to reduce their risk of heart attacks and death from all cause. Here's a table of mortality, all-cause mortality benefit from the randomized controlled trials of statin drugs. I'm going to read the name of these trials. The Jupiter trial. How much did rovastatin, that's Crestor, reduce the all-cause mortality? 0.6%. Ascot trial, atorvastatin, that's Zocor. All-cause mortality reduction, absolute risk reduction, 0.5%. The Florida trial, that's looking at fluvastatin, 1.3%. The ALHAT trial, 0.2%. That's pravastatin. The CARE trial, 0.8%. The PROSPER trial, 0.2%. The WASP-COPS trial, 0.9%. The HPS simvastatin trial, 1.8%. These are reductions in all-cause mortality. The Excel trial, plus 0.3%. The treatment group actually had more mortality in that trial. And guys, the point is, treating a symptom, oftentimes, almost always in the pharmaceutical world, leads to almost a wash. Very, very little absolute benefit, absolute risk reduction, around 1%. But again, the point that I'm trying to make here is your body should never be in the position to need symptom management. You were designed to self-heal, to self-detox, to self-regenerate. You have stem cells inside of you. Why are they dormant? Why aren't they waking up and going and putting new cartilage into your knee? Your body is constantly regenerating itself. Your red blood cells, every 90 days, they die. You make new ones. Your rods and cones in your eye, every 48 hours, you make new ones. Your liver cells, every 8 weeks. Skin cells, every 4 weeks. A lining of your gut, every 4 days. Constantly overturning and making new cells all the time. The body knows how to self-repair, self-regenerate, and heal, and deal with oxidative stress, and deal with toxins, and deal with germs, and deal with oncogenes. Oncogenes are genes that cause cancer cells to proliferate. I was just reading a study about this. Let me pull it up real quick. Study links fiber consumption to epigenetic changes with anti-cancer effects. Epigenetics, that's above the gene. So if you have the BRCA gene for cancer, or any of the oncogenes for cancer, fiber. Where do you find fiber? I'm not talking Metamucil. I'm talking eat real food, God food. This is why our ancestors didn't have cancer. Part of the reason they were in the sun. Why should you need to go to a doctor's office, an integrative doctor's office, to get ultraviolet blood irradiation into your bloodstream? Which we do that at our office. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you shouldn't need to do that. You need the basics. That's where I'm going with this. The basics. Fiber is going to cause epigenetic changes so that you keep your cancer genes turned off. Who would have thought? Kefir, that's a fermented dairy product, improves memory by 66% in Alzheimer's patients. Resistance training decreases the odds of dementia. It's the basics, guys. A study that just came out yesterday. Twice as effective as metformin. Lifestyle changes. This is a 21-year study from the U.S. Diabetes Prevention Program. 21 years is a long time. And what they did, they divided these people into two groups. One group, they got metformin, 850 milligrams twice a day. Metformin is a pharmaceutical that is used to treat diabetes, but can also be used to improve insulin resistance, which leads to type 2 diabetes. So they used metformin in one group to try to prevent diabetes, and then they used diet and exercise to in the other group without metformin. In the diet and exercise group, 58% reduction in the odds of moving on to type 2 diabetes versus 31% with metformin. Just diet and lifestyle, guys. So, over 25 years now practicing medicine, not understanding the first half of my career that I was only trained to treat symptoms pharmaceutically, and then moving into holistic, integrative, functional medicine realm, using a lot of cool tools in the toolbox. That's all really I learned was ozone, UV light, some peptides, PRP, different tools in the toolbox, and that's great. But the basics of nutrition, hydration, movement, and peace. That is what's been inside of me since the get-go. It was hard for me to completely trust that. It was hard for me to convince a patient to completely trust that. But it has been confirmed. The jury is in. The verdict is in. If you don't get the foundation strong, you're at more risk for disease, early death, and the need for symptomatic treatment. And so this program we've developed, You're the Cure, if you've been following me for a long time, you'll recognize most of what's in here. But the beauty of this program is we curated down to what we believe is the very core essence of stewardship. The way the human body was designed to be stewarded. We weren't designed to sit at 90 degrees all day long. The program will explain some of the evidence behind that, but then it goes next step, practical. What do you do about it, and how do you do it? There's a daily workout regimen, a weekly workout regimen. There's PDFs that give you the actual exercises to do. There's resistance training recommendations. There's actual practical steps on what to do. Nutrition. Everyone wants to do a diet. Here's a diet I'd recommend. Eat God food, not man food, but specifically you want to get nutrient-dense food. You want to flood these cells with deep nutrition. And that's a problem because our food's picked early. 10 days early, it's nutrient deficient just coming off the farm. So you want to get local when you can. But if you can get one of the 5 superfoods or 2 of the 5 superfoods or maybe all 5 of the 5 superfoods, we'll teach you what those are in this program because they're nutrient dense. The best diet you can do is the one that has the most nutrition, the most amount of vitamins, minerals, quality fat, quality protein. It's not about restriction. It's not about cut this out, cut that out. It's about flood the body. That's what you'll learn in the program. It's fine to use a diet for targeted symptom relief. We do that sometimes, but that's not the long-term fix. The long-term fix is get back to eating, moving, living like your ancestors. So for new listeners, I just want to go back a little bit in time. For old listeners, this will be the same old story you've heard lots of times. But I keep going back to it because it's a good reminder, and especially for the new listeners. Doctors aren't taught nutrition. Medical school, I got 2 hours of nutrition in 4 years of school. Most doctors, 80% of medical schools, don't do any amount of nutrition. So doctors just aren't taught. They simply don't know unless they go learn outside of medical school on their own. And 9 of your top 10 killers are directly related to food. The $4 trillion we're spending on chronic disease directly related to food. And doctors don't know about food. So, thus, the program, you're actually probably going to know more than your doctor does after you go through the program about nutrition. But the beautiful thing about this program, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is it's curated this thing down to the basics where it's not going to overwhelm you. And there are PDFs you can print out and go practically apply this nutrition guidance that we're going to give you in the program so that it's actually doable. And our wellness navigators will walk you through. They will teach you in the program how to actually prepare some of this food, how to make fermented food. It's not that hard to make sauerkraut, how to make fresh milled bread. It's not that hard to do that either. So these are ancestral concepts for a modern standard American. It may freak you out or think it's crazy, but it's not really that hard. It's just a lack of knowledge. So we bring you the knowledge and the practical steps of how to move through that. But back to medical school. So I graduated medical school under the assumption I just learned everything there is to help you, the patient, the person. That's the whole reason I went to med school, to help people. And I thought I learned all there was to do that. And after about 10 years, I came to the stark realization that I was taught very narrowly. And when I was first introduced to this thing called nutrition and exercise and hydration, my mentor, Roby Mitchell, took my 10 sickest patients and gave them non-medical advice. He gave them diet and lifestyle advice. And then these 10 sickest patients I had who'd been to all the specialists and were still suffering, still looking for symptom relief, fibromyalgia, lupus, chronic urticaria, out of control type 2 diabetes, uncontrolled with medication, chronic migraines, they all came back well. And it wasn't over that long of a period of time, 3 to 4 or 5 months, off their medicine, normal blood sugar, no more rash, no more chronic prostatitis, no more joint pain, no more brain fog, no more fatigue, no more lupus symptoms. It just absolutely blew me away. And one of the things that he told me was, Ben, the beauty of operating under the mindset of intelligent design is what he would call it. The engineering of the human body is you can't just fix diabetes. When you bring order to the disorder, everything starts to get better. The blood pressure, the acid reflux, the achy joints, the insomnia, the anxiety, it all starts to improve. And I saw that not only in those first 10 patients, but then as I started to teach my own patients these things, I saw it myself. It was just so rewarding, number one, kind of unbelievable. Like, how in the world is this happening? And then for me to get any amount of credit, which I shouldn't, and I try not to, it's God gets all the glory and credit because it's His design. But it was just so hard for me to believe. It took a year of going back and forth with Dr. Mitchell, just cognitive dissonance and just how can this be? And how can these doctors not know this? How can I not know this? How can my professors not know this? But as I moved into this, it was within the first 6 months of opening Veritas Medical, it became very clear to me that these 4 pillars of nutrition, hydration, movement, and peace were the foundation. This is what I need to teach. This is what people need to do. The better they do these 4 things, the better they heal. But because I was an intellectually minded physician, I'd go to an integrative conference and these would be peer-reviewed, published research papers that were presented at these conferences and these case reports. It just was shocking. Like the ultraviolet blood that I mentioned the article earlier. Dr. Robert Rowan, he's out of California. He's one of the gurus, godfathers, I'd say, of both ozone and ultraviolet blood irradiation. An incredible physician. Used to be on the medical board in Alaska. And Dr. Rowan wrote a paper, The Cure That Time Forgot. And it was all about ultraviolet blood irradiation. And you go to these integrative conferences and you're just blown away by the information, by the quality of the science that's published, but by the results. These incurable patients that were cured. That gets you excited as a physician. You want to go buy a UVBI machine and an ozone generator and go implement all these things in your clinic. And we did. And that's fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't want anyone to feel condemned or feel, if you're doing some of these therapies. But what I'm saying is it's easy for a doctor, integrative doctor, to go down that road of give me the latest, greatest technology and the newest gadget and the newest supplement and the newest technique. But in my experience, what I've found is people that just camp out with these various technologies oftentimes get better and sometimes all the way better. But some of them, and quite a few of them actually, would come back some years later. Symptoms would come back. And it was a common theme, primarily chronic stress. A lot of times they'd say, Doc, I'm still eating just right, and I'm still walking and moving and exercising, but it was the chronic stress. Now, sometimes it was the diet. But the point being, when the symptoms came back, they'd jump back on their ozone or ultraviolet blood machine or whatever gadget and supplement to try to get relief, and they wouldn't get relief. And so it just became more and more evident. We've got to get the foundation laid. And ancestrally, we know this, guys. I watched a documentary one time on Netflix. I think it was called Magic Pill. One part of that documentary in particular was about diabetes in the Aborigines in Australia. And what stood out to me was these Aborigines were just overcome with type 2 diabetes. And this was a new thing in their culture. They'd never had diabetes before, much like the indigenous people here in North America. The Pima Indians in Southwest Arizona, they never had type 2 diabetes in their entire history of their culture, now over 50% diabetic. But these Aborigines in Australia in this film, the government had come in and tried all these diabetic prevention and reversal and all these programs. None of it worked. And these 2 basically volunteer kind of health coach, holistic guys came in, and all they did was teach how to eat ancestral. Teach and convince the Aborigines to just start eating like their parents and grandparents did. And they did do that, and the diabetes went away. It was so simple. Millions and millions of dollars spent by the government trying to figure out some program when it was simply, hey, let's just get back to eating how we used to eat. It's what Weston A. Price found, the dentist here in America in the 1930s when he traveled the world and he saw the Native Americans in Alaska and Canada, in the South Pacific Islanders, and the natives in the Amazon rainforest, and the natives in the British Isles and Swiss Alps and into Africa. It was the same common theme throughout. I was just reading in that ultraviolet blood irradiation article, the success rate against tuberculosis using UVBI. It was incredible. This is the success rate. But it reminded me, Weston A. Price, when he went into these tribes throughout Europe, tuberculosis was ravaging some of these villages. But then other villages, they're completely resistant to TB. And he observed this and did some study and concluded that what he found, the villages that were being ravaged by TB were the villages where white flour and processed sugar had come in through a Western missionary or through easy access to a seaport and trade. And in the villages that were a little further inland or up in the mountains where they were still eating ancestrally, they were resistant to TB. And we see this during the measles outbreak. I went and found articles from the 1800s. 50% reduction in mortality with measles just from cod liver oil, which is an ancestral food-based nutritional supplement because of the vitamin A, the vitamin D, and the other nutritional cofactors. Guys, that's what deep nutrition's all about. You're just not getting vitamin C. You're getting 20, 30, 40 different cofactors that go with those flavonoids. Just like Sue Becker talks about, she'll be coming up on a podcast soon again with me. You can't just fortify, strip all of God's nutrients out of that grain like we did in the 1920s, and people start dying, getting sick, and then we fortify 5 of them back in instead of all 20, 30, or 40. There's probably more than that. The microbiome, it makes so many vitamins and nutrients for us, we'll never completely understand that. It's incredible what your pharmacy in your gut, this is your backup pharmacy. It makes antibiotics, natural antibiotics. People are doing parasite cleanses left and right these days. You've got a natural parasite remover already built into your colon. It's called your microbiome, and it'll keep those parasites moving out if you have a diverse microbiome. The problem is the standard Americans killed their microbiome down to 5,000 species on average versus 30,000 species is what these native tribes have. The microbiome will make your vitamin C for you. It'll make B vitamins for you. It'll make vitamin K. It's unbelievable what your microbes in your gut will do. It'll make the neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, all the neurochemistry for mood. So you won't get so depressed or so anxious. Your immune system, absolutely in communication with your microbes in your gut. And there's certain microbes that will tell your immune system, don't ever attack the myelin sheath in the brain for MS. There's other ones that will tell your immune system, don't ever attack the skin for eczema, psoriasis. There's other microbes in the gut that'll tell your immune system how to attack cancer better. It is incredible what this microbiome is. You will never be able to supplement or gadget yourself into the deep wholeness and wellness and prevention of disease that your own God-given design will do for you. It's a lack of knowledge and a lack of stewardship. So before you jump into your next parasite cleanse, which it's fine to do that, before you jump into your cold plunge, your infrared sauna, your ozone generator, your hyperbaric oxygen chamber, or fill in the blank, biohacking's all the craze now. Before you put on your wearable device and track all your data and input it into AI and let AI try to tell you how to be healthier, before you do all that, do the basics. Don't forget the basics, guys. Your ancestors were doing the basics and they didn't have diseases. Heart attacks are a new invention. Not invention's the wrong word, a new consequence of modern life. That is clear, 100% clear. No such thing as heart attacks pre-1912 in America. And guys, it wasn't because we only lived to be 40 years old in the late 1800s. That's not true. That data needs to be parsed out a little bit. The infant mortality rate in the late 1800s was 50-50, 50%. You had a 50-50 chance of making your 5th birthday. So that skewed the overall mortality rate if half the babies died before they turned 5. So if you had twins, one lives to be 80, one doesn't make it past his 5th birthday. That averages out to 40-year-old lifespan. So that data is skewed. If you made it to your 5th birthday, then the stats are clear. You live to be in your 80s, late 70s and 80s, 90s. That's what we're designed to live. And there were no heart attacks. It's clear. I was looking the other day at an article. This was a first photographer. I forget his name. But part of his first group of photographs were soldiers from the American Revolution. So, I mean, this is in the 1800s when the photography started. So these guys were with George Washington in the 1700s fighting in the Revolution. But all these guys that he was photographing from the American Revolution, veterans, they were 102, 103, 105. We see this with blue zones. You can read books on the blue zones. These different populations around the globe today live to be in their hundreds and healthy, not in the nursing home, not with dementia, not with arthritis where they are in a wheelchair. The longevity plan, Dr. Day interviewed him years ago, his book, The Longevity Plan, the longevity village in China. They live to be 112, 115. And that one guy said he's in his prime, feels like he's in his prime at 112, out in the field, in the rice field, working. And Dr. Day looked at what they ate, how they moved and exercised, what they drank, how did they sleep, all their habits, diet, lifestyle habits. And then he also drew their blood and he looked for all the genes for cancer and Alzheimer's and heart attack and stroke. And he saw they had the same genetic predisposition, did not have the diseases. So guys, these are modern diseases, all of them. Alzheimer's, modern. Autism, modern. Heart attack and stroke, modern. Diabetes, modern. All these literally there's 100 autoimmune diseases today, modern. All of them modern. So there's no other explanation. We've corrupted our food, we've corrupted our environment, and we can decorrupt it. We just need to understand it. You're not a victim. You have power and control over this thing. And what we put together in the You're the Cure program, live today, find it at veritaswellnessmember.com. Join the membership if you want $100 off. I had a guy tell me, we sent this out for some people to preview, and I had a gentleman tell me, by far and away, this would be the best $300 he could have anyone ever spend on their health. $300 for non-member, $197 for member. But his point was, I mean, you spend that money in no time in today's world with today's prices on things. But the amount of knowledge, guidance, support on learning how to steward your health, you really can't put a price on it, guys. I would, before any patient would ever walk in my door as a physician, I would want them going through this course. I would want them walking out these practical steps that we're teaching in this course before they ever came in to see me. And in fact, I had 2 patients this week. One was a new patient. One, it was her second visit. The lady with her second visit, her first visit, I think it was December of 23, so a year and a half ago. I saw her one time, and I recommended she get with her wellness navigator. And she took me up. She followed that prescriptive advice. She called the wellness navigator and met with her weekly. And she came back a year and a half later just to sit down and visit and say hi. And it was a short visit because there was nothing much wrong. All the list of complaints that she had from her first visit that she'd had for years were gone. The next patient that I had this week, a new patient, first time to ever see her. She joined the wellness program, got educated, got with her wellness navigator, started implementing what she was learning. And all the original symptoms she had filled out on her application for medical membership were resolved. But she still just wanted to have a PCP that thinks like we think. So she came still and did her initial visit just for that purpose. But all those symptoms that she'd had for a long time and had seen multiple doctors, including some specialists in Dallas, were resolved. And it's not because the Wellness Navigator did anything extra special as far as diagnosing and treating. They didn't do any of that. That's illegal to do, actually. Only licensed medical doctors or nurse practitioners can diagnose and treat. The Navigators taught her God's original intent and design of the human frame. So my passion is to, and we've done it, get this knowledge curated in a very professional, high quality, very succinct, yet thorough, and just the right information you need to get this core foundation laid in your body. And I would love for this to go out to the masses, to your friends, your coworkers, your family, your distant relatives, your boss, so that people don't have to come to Lubbock, Texas, or any other integrative office. And guys, I know it's the truth. I've seen it. Over 20,000 patients later, I can tell you, this is a truth. Hey everybody, quick break from the show. I've got something really special to share with you. I'm so excited to introduce You're the Cure, a self-paced 9-module online video program we've been prayerfully and passionately building here at Veritas. And this isn't just another wellness program, it's a movement of truth, transformation, and hope. And I truly believe it has the power to change your life. It's designed to help you uncover the root causes of what you're facing and walk in true healing. I'll be guiding you along with other members of the Veritas team as we return to God's original design for your health. Through simple, powerful tools focused on nutrition, hydration, movement, and peace, you'll gain clarity, confidence, and lasting transformation. The journey is yours to take because the truth is you are the cure. Head over to VeritasWellnessMember.com to get access today. Become a Veritas Wellness member now and get $100 off the program. Guys, I'm just so excited about this. After 20 years of practicing medicine, it's boiled down into this. This is the core of what you need to truly be well. So we'll see you in the program. Now, while you're walking this thing out and trying to learn to steward better and better and better, it's fine to treat symptoms. Like I said, I have doctors that call me. They feel overwhelmed about how can I learn all this integrative stuff? And I actually tell them, you don't really need to. You can just stay right where you're at. Use your conventional medical techniques that only get you about a 1% absolute risk reduction. I didn't mention osteoporosis, 0.4% reduction in hip fractures if you take a bisphosphonate for 6 years. The treatment group had 6 fractures. The treatment group had 8 fractures. Placebo group had 12 fractures. A difference of 4 out of 1,000 patients over 6 years. That's what your drugs for osteoporosis get you. But so I tell these doctors, go ahead and do what you've been trained to do. Do your standard of care. And use your authority as an MD, because people will listen to you, to send them to the health coach. Send them to the Wellness Navigator. It's the Wellness Navigator who has the knowledge and the compassion and the love in their heart for the truth and for the people to impart this wisdom and knowledge and then walk with them through the process. So I would love every American, but we know human nature. Give me the quick fix. Give me the pill. Give me the supplement. I got a busy life. I got to get on with my busyness. And it looks to me that the powers that be in the institutions have decided that Americans just aren't going to do what I'm proposing today that all Americans should do. You know, in 1910, when the medical education curriculum got curated, the Flexner report, Abraham Flexner, Abraham was an education specialist. He went around the whole country analyzing all the medical school curriculum. 23 or 24 homeopathic medical schools in the late 1800s in the United States. Naturopathic schools, herbalist schools, chiropractic, osteopathic, allopathic, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Native American medicine, herbalist, all these ancient healing arts. And he felt like there was too much chaos and too much variation in medical school curriculum, and they needed to standardize that. And they chose to standardize it to allopathic, pharmaceutical-based, chemical-based symptom treatment, and that's what happened. So those schools got funded, and the medical boards of each state started licensing doctors out of those schools. Those laboratories and hospital systems got funded. The research got funded in that vein, and all the other healing arts from hundreds and even thousands of years got pushed to the wayside, marginalized, and some were made illegal. All these other healing modalities had one thing in common: homeopathy, herbalist, naturopathic. All of these use techniques that came alongside and partnered with, aligned with, came parallel to the body's natural healing mechanisms. When you get a paper cut, a chemical's released from those cells, tissue injury activating chemical. When tissue is injured, that releases this chemical. That chemical triggers another protein, which triggers another protein, another. It's about a 12-step domino cascade to clot that paper cut off so you don't bleed to death. It's an incredible design, intricate design, and nobody even thinks about it. You don't think twice about a paper cut, but you could bleed to death from a paper cut if you didn't have this amazing design. But all those healing modalities from the past came alongside and supported these native, natural, inborn, intelligent designed features in the body that know how to keep blood pressure down and blood sugar down, and know how to regenerate your joints so you don't get arthritis, and know how to fight germs really good and keep cancer at bay. All these mechanisms that were put into you by God, these other modalities worked with them. Pharmaceutical-based modalities just suppress the symptom. So that was over 100 years ago. And now it appears to me that we've just continued with the mindset of Americans are simply not going to take the time, the effort, the energy to learn the truth and to walk in it. We're too busy. We're too swamped with debt and obligations, and it's too convenient and cheap and easy to just grab the quick bite and go. Co-pays are too cheap on the insurance, although they're getting more and more pricey. So now it looks like we're going to go wearable. Let's track your low oxygen level because of your sleep apnea and all the inflammation in your airway that you don't have good oxygen, and you're so stressed you don't take good deep belly breaths. Let's just track that low oxygen, track that heart rate, arrhythmia, track the number of hours you're sitting or the number of steps you take. Let's track all this data, put it into AI, and spit out some formula to try to catch these diseases earlier. Guys, no. That's just, the fuse is lit, and now we're just trying to blow that fuse out and trying to slow the burn on that fuse a little bit. We need to cut the fuse. If you're going to wear a wearable and do the AI thing, that's fine, if it's going to point you to root cause resolution. So that's my concern, is all the data is not going to point back to ancestral techniques of root cause resolution. It's going to point to just some new technology that'll help try to micromanage your symptoms that are rooted in diet and lifestyle things that your wearable is just telling you you're a standard American. Now, maybe that's me being a pessimist, but we don't have to make this complicated, guys. Your great-great-grandparents did not know what a mitochondria was. They didn't know what ATP was. They didn't know what hemoglobin A1C, that 90-day blood sugar average was. They didn't know any of these technical terms in medicine that we talk about these days. Yet they were healthy. And that's because God designed our body in a manner to be healthy all the days of your life. Till your spirit's called home, your flesh falls over dead. You were designed to be healthy. And the average American starts dropping that health curve at age 27. And they start loading up pharmaceuticals. 5 pharmaceuticals on average for your middle-aged American. Spending more money on pharmaceuticals than any other country in the world, going to the doctor the most, utilizing this sick care system more than anybody, to be the sickest, to die the youngest, and suffer the most in between. And there's a way out of that. And the way out is fairly simple. And I'll probably just keep preaching this till I take my last breath, because it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be hard. Now, we've lost some wisdom, that's for sure. Our great-grandmothers and our grandmothers passing the wisdom down, we've lost a little bit of that. When the food started changing in 1910-ish, the big three: processed grain, processed sugar, processed vegetable oils. Those are the big three ingredients that make up modern food that kill your carburetor, your mitochondria. We've lost that wisdom over the last 100 years. So there's some challenge to that, but it's really not hard, guys. And that's the point of the program. We want to make it easy as can be for a modern American, standard American, to be able to exit the standard American lifestyle. This is how you do it. Put the blinker on, get on the exit ramp, and move over. Start merging. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It can be get up every hour. It can be set an alarm on your phone. Go get 10 minutes of sunshine every morning. Get 10 minutes in the midday. Get 10 minutes in the evening. I just read an article on circadian rhythm disruption. Just getting your sleep cycle disrupted increase your risk from cardiovascular disease, death, stroke, heart attack, Alzheimer's, all-cause mortality just from sleep disruption. Blue light, staring at screens, phones, pads, TVs, computer screens all day long, that disrupts your circadian rhythm. Not seeing the sunrise in the morning disrupts the circadian rhythm. So you can do something as simple as that. So the program will teach you simple steps. Don't cost a dime. Put a pinch of sea salt in your water. Load your muscle every day. You can do it with body weight. You don't have to go to the gym. Gym's fine, but body weight exercise, no problem. You need resistance training. Muscle mass, it's one of the best predictors of longevity. Sit to stand, all these tests. Grip strength. Grip strength predicts longevity better than blood pressure and cholesterol levels do. It's these very basic things. Circadian rhythm, guys, when you don't get deep sleep at night, you don't produce growth hormone. Growth hormone is the repair hormone in the human body. It's what triggers all the repair and self-cleaning mechanisms in the body. Oxidative stress creates free radicals in the body. Your body is designed to grab those free radicals and extinguish them. Extinguish the inflammatory process. How does it do that? Repair hormone, growth hormone is a big part of that. But that is secreted at night. When you have deep sleep, when you have enough oxygen to get to deep sleep. Circadian rhythm, so important. Those stem cells that should wake up and go repair that cartilage, repair those damaged neurons in your brain so you don't get dementia. Those stem cells will wake up and work when that growth hormone is produced to tell them to go do that. So it's an incredible design, guys. It's like plugging in your vehicle at night in your garage, and it vacuums itself, washes itself, changes its own oil, rotates its tires, checks all the fluid levels, and fills them up all by itself. That's what this amazing body does. It renews itself every night with deep sleep. But to get deep sleep, you need melatonin. The melatonin production is directly influenced by the intensity of midday sun. If your eyeballs never see midday bright sunshine, then your melatonin production at night is going to be diminished. The bugs in the gut, your bacteria in your gut, they're key players in the assembly line to assemble and construct that melatonin. Almost all the melatonin is actually made in the gut by the microbes in your gut. So you need fermented food. You need real food so you quit killing those bugs with antibiotics from processed food. It all goes together, guys. All these basics go together. Deep sleep, magnesium. We burn through magnesium when we're under stress. Most of our food's magnesium and mineral depleted because of the way we farm, and we've stripped the minerals and the microbes out of the soil, so the broccoli and the green beans and the vegetables and fruits don't have as much mineral. Supplements are supplemental to the diet. Try to get a mineral-rich, vitamin-rich food. Get a vitamin-rich microbiome-producing bug pharmacy in your gut. But where we're often deficient is minerals. The bugs in the gut can't make minerals. The soil is depleted of minerals, so you have to supplement where you're deficient. That's where trace mineral drops and sea salt can come in. We'll teach you that. That's what I supplement every day in my water, trace mineral drops and sea salt. Those minerals, they run your enzymes. Enzymes are workers in the body. The enzymes are actually doing the physical cleaving, the cutting and clipping and adding, putting things on to make a new molecule. Cholesterol doesn't just magically turn into vitamin D when the sun hits your skin. It's an enzyme that does that, and that in particular enzyme is powered by magnesium. And just so happens magnesium is your primary enzyme powering mineral. There's about 9,000 enzymes and 3,400, give or take, are powered by magnesium. So these workers in the body to do all the work can't do it effectively enough, efficiently enough without enough mineral. It's these basic steps, guys. So I would hate to ever tell somebody to go get a pharmaceutical or a nutraceutical supplement for a symptom treatment, do a UV light or an ozone or any of that, without knowing all their enzymes are totally powered up. All 9,000 enzymes are powered up by minerals, and that their mitochondria is saturated with oxygen from good deep belly breathing, nasal breathing. So important to breathe through the nose. That's a whole nother topic. I interviewed James Nestor and Patrick McKee on years ago. You can go look on the podcast on the website. Go look up those guys. Amazing oxygen advantages and breath. Those are the two books. But your mitochondria need to be saturated with oxygen. So don't go do any gadget or any without ensuring that your mitochondria are bathed with oxygen. The right kind of fats. We've talked about that plenty. Not going to go into that now, guys. I'm just trying to reiterate. I'm beating a dead horse and sound like a broken record. But I don't know that you're getting it anywhere else. In fact, I had a health insurance broker tell me the word corporate wellness, which we do have a corporate wellness program that talks about all this. And in our corporate wellness program, you have access to the program. You're the Cure program too. But he told me, number one, that word's been totally corrupted. All these CEOs and CFOs, they hear that word and they just kind of roll their eyes, and kind of they have to do something because that's just the norm for corporations in America now to do some kind of wellness. But they roll their eyes because they spend millions of dollars and they get no change in outcomes. Their health insurance premiums keep rising. Their self-funded programs aren't saving any money because these wellness things aren't root cause resolution wellness things. And what this broker told me was he doesn't know of anyone in the entire country in the corporate wellness space that is teaching and doing what we're teaching and doing. Now, maybe there is. He just hadn't heard of them, but there's not many if there are. So, guys, the temptation's going to be all these podcasters out there, which obviously this is a podcast. I'm not knocking that, but all this biohacking health stuff, don't get too distracted. Just because it's a natural thing, you can get distracted with a bunch of natural protocols and gadgets and therapies just like you could pharmaceutical based. So, of course, I'm biased, but I would want everyone to do the You're the Cure program and those 4 pillars be nailed down pretty dang good before you go on to any other biohacking technique. And all this is rooted if you've been listening for a while, especially since 2023, when everything got turned upside down and the peace pillar got to be the primary, when the Lord said, flip it, nutrition, hydration, movement, and peace, and we were out of order. Peace needs to be number one. It's the most important. I knew that. I knew that just experience with patients. I knew that with my own mentor, Roby Mitchell, who died early in his early 60s because of lack of that peace. It's huge, guys. I mean, the magnesium I was just talking about, the microbiome to get your melatonin and all that to sleep good. If you're in fight or flight mode, your stomach acid pumps turn way down. pH in your stomach rises to a 4, 5, or 6 instead of a 1 where it should be. You can't absorb magnesium very good when your pH is a 4, 5, or 6. You sure don't break down all the protein. That's what stomach acid does. Takes protein and chops it into building blocks called amino acids. Well, those amino acids is what the bacteria in your gut take to build melatonin. The bugs in the gut, this is a study, they did it on Nexium, the acid-reducing medicine. They showed acid reducers kill your microbiome bugs, your good bugs, more than antibiotics do. Well, translate that right over to stress, because stress turns off those pumps, those acid pumps. So you're changing and shifting your pH, therefore affecting your microbiome, not being able to make the melatonin for sleep, the dopamine and the serotonin for mood stability, anti-anxiety, natural chemical your body makes, can't make it. So that peace pillar is absolutely essential. Some of the primary things people come to Veritas for are related to GI health, hormone health, and immune system health. Autoimmune disease and cancer are in the immune system category. All the different hormone-related things like thyroid, adrenal, sex hormone, low T, infertility, all that, PCOS, GI, IBS, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, all that kind of stuff. Those three systems are the primary systems that get disrupted, dysregulated, turned way, way, way down when you go into fight or flight mode. It's rest and digest or fight or flight. That's the only two modes the autopilot nervous system works in, autonomic nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic. So there is no way you're going to overcome autoimmune, GI, hormone-related things, ultimately without getting down to the core root of what's triggering the fight or flight. And there's stress relief techniques, and those are fine. And there's supplements for stress and mood and all that, and for sleep. And those are fine. You can do those. Treat a symptom is no problem. But that's not the answer. You've got to go deeper. And that peace pillar is the absolute essential of this whole thing. And I'm announcing today also, as we launch You're the Cure, we'll have another program coming. Sorry, team. Putting you on the spot again. Challenging the team. Made Whole. That's going to be a whole nother program we're going to work on next. And Made Whole was actually the program that's in my heart to produce more than anything. And that's going to dive deep on the peace pillar. True peace. But part of the motivation to make You're the Cure was knowing that the Made Whole journey is just that. It is a journey. And you can't manufacture that thing. You can't step 1, 2, 3, done. Yes. It is a journey. And so stewardship, that's what You're the Cure is. That program, You're the Cure, is designed to help you learn stewardship of the physical body, nutrition, hydration, movement primarily. We touch on peace in there too. And we would love for you, after you do You're the Cure program, sign up as a member, do some peace pillar consultations with your wellness navigator. They can personally walk you further down that road of Made Whole. But that Made Whole journey is really where it's at, guys. For you to be who God made you to be and be truly at rest every day. As long as today is called today, enter my Sabbath rest. That's every day, guys. True peace, tending the garden, not toiling in the garden. When's the last time you felt like you went through your day and were truly at rest? When's the last time you felt like a heavy yoke, a heavy burden? Go, 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 toil, 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 stress, stress, stress. The body is not designed to operate in that mode very long at all. It's not compatible with long-term health. Period. End of discussion. So you know that old saying, all disease begins in the gut. Some smart guy said that one day, a long time ago, Hippocrates. And I know what he's saying. And we go to the gut. Obviously, nutrition's important. But that statement's not true. Not accurate. I believe all disease begins in a loss of identity. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we came from. We act like orphans. We think we're orphans. We don't know our daddy. We don't know why we're here. We got to scrape and scrounge and fight and claw for everything. An orphan's got to be his own provision, his own protection, has no idea who his daddy is, where he came from. And we're running around like a bunch of orphans. And this culture of the world, eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, has set us on a course where we're going to go use our intellect to try to figure stuff out. And we think we're going to be set free by information, and that ain't happening. Believe me, from my own personal experience, I'm a pretty intellectual kind of guy. I'm not the smartest guy, but I like things to be proven to me. And I ain't going to believe you till you prove it. And that's the whole medical field, evidence-based medicine, quote unquote. Don't get me started on that. John Ioannidis, Stanford University. The vast majority of all published peer-reviewed studies are wrong. That's a whole nother podcast, guys. But we use our intellect to try to prove stuff and figure stuff out to set us free from this burden, this heavy yoke, and it doesn't happen. And we just go around this mountain over and over and over and over, wandering in that wilderness over and over and over, year after year. And then we just throw in the towel and give up, and oh well, I'm going to heaven when I die. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we are. But guys, God did not intend for us to be toiling in the earth for 80 years. He didn't intend for this body to be breaking down at age 27. He didn't intend for you to stay in this job just so you can have health insurance, quote unquote health, sick insurance, to play in this system. It is a deception from the other kingdom that is here to steal, kill, and destroy. There's only two kingdoms, guys. Life and life more abundant. And that word, go look this up in the Greek. Life, the quality of life equal to the one who gave it. We're supposed to have that quality of life. But there's a whole lot of steal, kill, and destroy and suffering going on from lack of knowledge. So, you're the cure. Today, it's live. It's ready to go. I'm excited. This has been in my heart a long time, guys. And it's finally here. I want to thank my team, specifically Blake and Heather and Nicole and Jason and Emily and Bella. And I should probably just thank the entire staff. So the rest of you guys, thank y'all too. I mean, we couldn't do it all. I mean, the medical clinic's going, the Merc and the market going. I mean, it's a whole team effort. But this core team to get the production done, thank y'all so much. You know, I don't know when we started this, over a year ago. And I said, let's get this thing done. This is simple. It's the 4 pillars. We've been teaching it for 13 years. Let's knock this thing out. We can do it in 6 weeks. We could have done something in 6 weeks, but it wouldn't have been as quality, as thorough, as good as this thing is. And so, guys, I'm just so proud of it. I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of what we produced. And ultimately, I want to give glory and thanks to God for leading me down this path. This divine appointment that started 13 years ago, but actually started 17, 18 now, years ago. My wife and I, Jamie, we couldn't get pregnant. 24 straight months in a row of negative pregnancy tests. And then, you know, we've been to the infertility doctor for months, for a year. Nothing, zero. And then I was reading Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom. And I didn't even finish the verse. I stopped right there. That hit me like a ton of bricks, right in the, smacked me upside the head. I went and got Jamie, said, look at that. It says seek the kingdom first, and we're seeking a baby first, a big family first, and some other things, but primarily at that point was a baby. And I said, we have got to let that thing go. We're so out of line and out of order. And we got down on our knees, prayed, talked to God about it, and said, that's it. No more baby seeking. We want to seek the kingdom. And my next prayer was, what's the kingdom? I don't even know what that means. And to show me what that means and what is that. There's a way that God intended for humans to interact with each other. Love God and love your neighbor. Love yourself too, but love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. And that's it. That, in a nutshell, that wraps it up right there, guys. So that's all in this thing. We got to wrap this podcast up, but I want to just encourage you, seek the kingdom first. Don't seek you're the cure. Don't seek the healing, seek the healer. Don't let diet be your idol and your savior. Don't put all your focus on exercise just right. No, that is not what this program is about. This program is about basic knowledge our ancestors had that line up with God's design of this physical frame. And we need to just move back towards that. When you do, you will see oxidative stress and inflammation go down and therefore symptoms get better. So this is a framework for you to just be operating outside your standard American framework, because standard Americans are the sickest, dying the earliest. So it's a tool, it's some knowledge, it's information for stewardship that'll set you up for better health. But ultimately, we got to seek this thing. How could we love God and love our neighbor as much as we love ourselves? There is a way to do it. I'm not saying I got it all figured out or do it perfectly. I'm tempted to get self-centered all the time. And that self-centeredness destroys us, destroys relationships, destroys our country, destroys this world. And that's from the other kingdom. That'll be a different show. So, thank you guys for listening. I know it's a lot of old stuff for you old-time listeners. I just kind of rambled on and on about my same old stuff. But you're tuning in, so I guess you might like to hear that over and over. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. The podcast has grown tremendously. Thank you for sharing it. We'll put this out, of course, as always, on all the podcast platforms. We archive it on veritaswellnessmember.com, our website. Go there to resources, click podcasts. We have it broken down into topics, into different guests. And so just go, there's over 300 podcasts there, guys. But again, You're the Cure is designed to curate a lot of that information down to the basics. So I encourage you to jump on there, get the program, share it with your loved ones. It's very, very affordable. And one of those is for the whole household, guys. So it's not about trying to make a gazillion dollars. It's about trying to steward what God's given us. We do have to pay our bills and pay our people. Worker's worth his wage. But we wanted to try to deliver something really high quality to you that can hopefully change your life. So thank you again for joining us. I'll be back next week with another great show. I'm Dr. Ben Edwards. You're the Cure.